From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
The longer we wait to act, the more people die, the more people become addicted, and the worse Indiana falls in the health rankings.
The price of cigarettes in Indiana could go up. Why healthcare organizations are pushing for this, and it goes beyond trying to get people to quit smoking.
Local child care facilities are a lifeline for working parents, but even daycares have had a tough time staying open during the pandemic. The new resource that's helping those facilities.
They're not done after high school. They want to go to college and they want to do what their peers do.
A local nonprofit is working to meet that need for young adults with developmental disabilities. How they've been able to keep serving the community even through the pandemic.
Good evening and thanks for watching WRTV News at 6 on this Thursday evening. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. 24 healthcare organizations and groups have sent a letter to Governor Eric Holcomb. They are asking him to prioritize a cigarette tax increase this year. WRTV's Stephanie Wade explains how the extra money could improve the health of all Hoosiers while encouraging smokers to kick the habit.
We've been pushing for this for a while, in part because Indiana's health metrics are so bad across the board.
Whether it's obesity, infant mortality, diabetes.
So many things are linked back to Indiana's high smoking rate.
And that's why more than 200 healthcare, business, and youth organizations have backed this effort, signing a letter asking Governor Holcomb and lawmakers to increase the cigarette tax by $2 per pack.
Who are also on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic.
If somebody smokes, then they are more likely to have heart disease, or they're more likely to have lung disease. And then if they get COVID on top of that, that is just devastating for them. So our population in Indiana is starting at an unhealthier baseline.
Brian Hannon with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network says about 1 in 5 adult Hoosiers smoke, which is one of the highest smoking rates in the country.
The public support is there. About 70% of Hoosier voters support an increase in the cigarette tax.
Equally as troubling, it's about the same rate for youth who smoke.
Raising the cigarette tax is not only a cessation effort to help current adult smokers quit, but it also raises that barrier of entry for youth who are very price sensitive, but also very impressionable.
We know a tax increase would do that. So there's actually really good evidence that a 20% increase in a tobacco tax would decrease the number of kids who start smoking by double digits.
The more unhealthy our state is, pediatric doctor Emily Scott says, has an impact on all of us in terms of our health care costs.
Indiana's cigarette tax rate is below the national average. It's been 14 years since we've last raised the cigarette tax. In that time frame, over the last 14 years, states and local governments have raised the cigarette tax dozens of times.
If we generate more revenue through this tax increase, advocates say we can use that money elsewhere, as Indiana ranks 48th in the country for the amount of money we dedicate to public health funding.
We need to make our state healthier. We cannot continue to be at the absolute bottom of our nation in terms of health rankings.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
The current Indiana cigarette tax rate is about 99 cents per pack. The proposal would increase the rate to $3 per pack. That would be just 2 cents higher than Illinois' $2.98 per pack cigarette tax.
Well, for the middle of January, this wasn't a bad day to get out and ride your bike, but big changes are on the way and could be here as soon as tonight. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joining us. Kevin, what are you tracking tonight?
And Mark, we look west to see that change. We're tracking rain first, then the snow showers for tomorrow. Clouds will continue to lower and set the stage for rain this evening, first in the western portion of the state. Kind of gone to the northwest quadrant here, anywhere from Greencastle on up to Crawfordsville and Lafayette. Some very light sprinkles. Those continue to move to the east, northeast. Temperatures around the region solidly in the 40s right now, so this will start as rain as we go through the evening hours. There we are by 9. A little more steady rain western Indiana, then right through Indianapolis by 11 o'clock. During the day tomorrow, we'll start with some spotty snow showers. As far as temperatures tomorrow morning, right around the freezing mark. We start with a few snow showers. We'll talk about the prime time for some heavier snow showers tomorrow afternoon coming up.
Tonight, the Indianapolis Department of Public Works will call out a full shift of snow force drivers. At 11 p.m., 80 drivers will begin pre-treating Indianapolis and Marion County roadways. Crews will work through Saturday evening.
I would not have been able to go to work without early childhood providers. Most women would not be able to go to work.
Well, this pandemic is still a strain for Hoosier families. Some industries have their employees working remotely, others are back at work, and that has left parents relying on child care facilities, which have faced their own set of challenges staying open. WRTV's Nicole Griffin explains how a new resource is helping.
Sybil Stanton is just months into her new role as the director of the Vine Early Learning Center in Northeast Indiana.
Without the hub, I wouldn't have been able to find the position.
Stanton is getting married next week, which is why she moved to the Hoosier State. She used the Indiana Early Learning Hub, a new online resource that helps support and strengthen child care operations in Indiana.
Even through COVID, the hub has allowed us to be able to put the positions out and do things digitally. That's how I hired all of my staff.
One of the things that I see the Indiana Learning Hub do is really support that gap where there's no one else that is helping to support the business aspect.
The hub gives Hoosier child care directors a one-stop shop to access more than 2,000 online tools that help with budgeting, hiring, and even discounts on supplies. In Marion County, IU School of Medicine is partnering with the hub to assist 12 child care centers.
COVID again highlighted the fact that they're essential providers, and especially some of these high-risk communities for infant mortality, for poverty. They allow those parents to have a safe and nurturing environment to have their children so that they can go to work.
According to state records, out of 4,300 child care providers, 20 have remained closed during the pandemic. And new research shows 3 in 5 programs expect a long-term impact. The most common concern is reduced enrollment.
Kids need us, and they're vulnerable. If we're giving good instruction and we're organizing our facilities so that we can best serve the kids and ultimately the parents and then the community, it's not just affecting the kids.
Stanton says the hub impacts more than just one center. It helps an entire community. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
In Marion County, the goal is to expand the partnership to dozens of more centers that the IU School of Medicine has already been working with in an effort to reduce infant mortality. Leaders say the centers provide a critical role on educating parents.
A Noblesville nonprofit is working to enrich the lives of young adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities. It's called Same As You, and they opened their doors 1 year ago today. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum takes a look at the growth the program has seen in that time and why services like this are so important.
The goal here at Same As You is to continue to provide an education and sense of community for adults with developmental disabilities.
We need to focus.
I like science, math, and sometimes I like to read as well. Reading is my hobbies.
This is Gracie Burke. She's one of the students here at Same As You.
My favorite part being here, see all my college friends.
We learned about him, right?
Today's lesson, all about the elements of a story.
I just love this population of young adults. They're just so vibrant and fun. They're so eager to learn.
Sarah McGregor and Jennifer Sell are co-founders here. They both have daughters with Down syndrome and started the program after realizing there weren't many options for students like theirs after they age out of the public school system.
They're not done after high school. They want to go to college and they want to do what their peers do.
They had this full schedule when they were in school. They participated in sports, they participated in youth clubs, but a lot of that is geared towards that high school kid. So now they're a young adult and a lot of them have way too much time at home on the couch and they're losing those skills that they worked so hard to learn throughout their school years.
That's where Same As You comes in. They opened 1 year ago with 6 students, but have since grown to now serve 26 students.
It's a special place to go to college at, and I just love it so much, and I like to start it in August, and I like it, and it's so great place to be here.
These students, although their lives are very different, they have the same desires and the same wants as anyone else, disability or not. They deserve to have a bountiful life, and so that's what we are providing for them at Same As You.
And providing them the chance to see they really are the same as their peers.
I'm in college, as well here at the Mizzou. It is the best college I ever go to.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And leaders say they had to move some of their programming online due to the pandemic. If you would like to learn more about the organization or donate to the nonprofit, we'll have a link on our website, WRTV.com.
An update tonight on the continued impact COVID-19 is having on Indiana. The State Department of Health confirms 40 additional coronavirus-related deaths. In total, so far, 8,830 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19. The Department of Health also reports 4,411 additional cases of coronavirus. 578,494 people in Indiana have tested positive for COVID-19 since the pandemic began in March. And as of yesterday, 2,440 Hoosiers were in Indiana hospitals, either with COVID or with symptoms that could develop into COVID. That is the lowest number of COVID-related hospitalizations in Indiana since November 9th. Data from the Department of Health also shows that about 25% of Indiana's ICU beds are available.
The pandemic is part of the reason thousands of Hoosiers have lost their jobs during the week that ended January 9th. More than 18,800 people in Indiana filed first-time unemployment claims. That's according to the Department of Labor. Nearly 14,800 people filed initial unemployment claims the week ending January 2nd. So about 4,000 more people filed first-time claims the most recent week that data was collected. And an update tonight to a story we first brought you Tuesday on the news at 6. We reported that many Hoosiers out of work due to the pandemic have not received or heard anything about the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PUA, that was promised to them in the latest stimulus package. Today, WRTV's Nikki Dementri found out from the Indiana Department of Workforce Development that those under PUA will start getting paid by the end of the month. Those benefits will be retroactive to January 2nd. A local couple was hoping to get the COVID vaccine together. Now their loved ones are heartbroken. The human side of this pandemic next in our Faces of COVID series.
IU and Purdue meet for the 216th time. There will be about 17,000 fewer people than they had hoped for, but we'll get you set for the matchup live in Bloomington coming up in sports.
I'm pretty sure I just heard Brad say there's a big game tonight. You're going to hear me talk about some snow showers for tomorrow. We'll get into that forecast and unveil the weekend outlook as well.
Floors to your home, that too.
An Indianapolis couple was hoping to get their COVID vaccine together. Unfortunately, they never got the chance to do so. Our Rafael Sanchez reports on how their families and friends are remembering their legacy of love.
Ernest and Ann Wilkins loved each other, and that connection was felt by family and friends.
I'm very heartbroken. Because I loved Ann and Ronald, just like my brother and sister. And I want people to take this serious.
Ernest battled diabetes and cancer. The couple was diagnosed with COVID-19 in December. They were admitted to St. Vincent Hospital and placed on ventilators. They never left the hospital. Ernest died on Friday, Ann on Saturday. Too much for one family. Too much for a long list of friends.
She was deeply committed to her profession and to her fellow educators.
The IPS superintendent took this picture with Ann after learning they shared a birthday in May. Ann was a teacher with IPS for 13 years and then became a union leader, always promoting public school education.
I think what she did well was sort of holding everybody to account, because at the end of the day, her goal was to make sure kids were getting served well.
As a kid, Ernest loved playing the trumpet. He graduated from Shortridge High School, Ball State, and retired from Allstate. He loved sports and knew his stats. And every day, he was on the phone with the man that he knew as a child at School 43.
And that's what we thought of each other, is that we were brothers and we did everything together. We talked 10 times a day. If I woke up first in the morning, I would call him. If he woke up first in the morning, he'd call me. And on during the day, we would talk, 10 times a day.
The couple had many plans for this new year, including getting the COVID vaccine. The cruelty of the moment stings, but the promise of their heavenly rise brings comfort to those who are heartbroken.
Because I would rather you have a reaction to the vaccine than to try to fight COVID, the disease, because a lot of times you won't win. And it's real. I've seen it for myself, and it's something that I don't want to see again.
Working for you, Rafael Sanchez, WRTV.
Those who knew Ernest best called him Ronald. Today, Ernest and Ann Wilkins were laid to rest in a private funeral. Thousands of Hoosiers have died since the coronavirus pandemic began, and we know they are more than just numbers. These are parents, children, friends, and neighbors. WRTV is asking for your help to put names to the numbers. If you have lost a loved one to COVID-19, we want to hear their story. Share it with us by emailing facesofcovid@wrtv.com.
2 days in a row, temperatures were well into the 40s, a full 10 degrees above average. We have cloudy but dry conditions in Indianapolis right now at 44. Lafayette, the showers knocking on the door, 45 degrees. In Bloomington, where we'll hear from Mr. Brad Brown in just a little bit, south wind and 47 degrees. You see the temperature trend. We're headed below average as we go into the weekend and early next week. Temperatures will bounce back as we get to the middle part of next week. Our rain shower chances tonight, this is for Indianapolis, spike around 10 o'clock. It will be earlier in western Indiana, a little bit later in the eastern portion of the state. There's the big picture. You can see the swath of rain through central Illinois. The snow is back behind that across Iowa, northwest portions of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. The colder air will catch the remaining moisture. We may see a melting snowflake tonight and then definitely snow showers tomorrow. There are the rain showers from, say, Williamsport and Attica on up toward Fowler, just west of Lafayette at this hour. Tomorrow, the headline and the focus will be on snow showers. Intense at times, probably 2 to about 7 p.m. will be the peak timing for the more numerous and more intense snow showers that will drop the visibility, lead to some quick accumulations, which will change road conditions. We don't want to be caught off guard, but that's typically what happens in these, because you're driving along and everything's fine, and then you encounter a snow shower and it changes everything. Temperatures tomorrow above freezing, that certainly helps. The intensity of the snow can overcome, though, the warmer ground if it snows hard enough. There are your probabilities of snow in the afternoon. Tomorrow you see it increasing across the state, but by the time we get to the evening hours, we reverse things and start to see then the overall chances for snow showers decreasing. 7-day forecast over the next 7 days. Temperatures in the 30s. Until we get to the end of next week. We've got some more weekend snow showers that will be around, and then we're back to 32, only 32 Monday, and then 46 on Thursday. See, I've got the coat hanging up. Big night tonight. I'll put it back on in a little bit. Brad Brown down in Monroe County. Brad?
Hey, Kevin, indeed, Bloomington is the place to be tonight, at least for a handful of us. Purdue and IU, we are in the north lobby of Assembly Hall. We actually don't get access to the playing space here for about another 20 minutes. They're just trying to do what they can to keep people separated. About the only folks that will be here tonight, there'll be a couple hundred family and friends of the two teams and roughly 80 or so accredited media. About half of that group belongs to the FS1 network crew. That's it. Otherwise, this place, of course, would be packed and be ready to go for the biggest game of the year for both of these teams as far as really the calendar goes. And before we look ahead to this one real quick, IU's supposed to play at Michigan State coming up on Sunday. That game's been postponed. There's some positive COVID tests among the Spartans program, so they're out for a few days. So that one will be rescheduled. As for tonight, is this weird? Yes, is the short answer, but so many of these things that we do in the sports world anymore are weird. It'll be interesting to see how this goes kind of once the game gets started, especially for what is such a big game for both of these teams. Even on a down year, there's usually a raucous crowd here, a rowdy student section, a certain buzz around this place. Well, tonight, there's none of that. Both teams know they'll have to make their own energy in a game that already means so much to everyone involved.
With no fans, it's going to be super weird, but you know, this is still the game that you look forward to all year. So, you know, I'm excited. It's still going to be the same intensity, just without the crowd. So, it's not really that weird.
Those who've been here before know the environment in both facilities, especially our facility, that playing at home is a little bit different. And teams go on runs. You don't have that support behind you. You go on runs. You don't have that momentum behind you. And it's something you're getting used to at this point in time.
You got to get out there and be productive and execute and, you know, doing your job. And then now all of a sudden the guys coming off the bench feed into that. You know, everybody on the bench, you know, has life and is cheering for each other. And that's what it's about in this environment. No matter where you're playing, whether you're playing here or not without fans, you know, I think that's more important than anything.
Purdue has won 7 straight in this series. That's their longest stretch versus IU since 1968 to 72, and they've won the last 4 here in Bloomington. 74-62 last year. You got to go back to the 30s the last time they did that. By the way, if they make it 5 straight tonight, it's been 100 years since that happened. Purdue's entire roster is unbeaten against IU, and IU's entire roster has yet to beat Purdue. So what about tonight?
Hearing 17,000 people boo at you is, for me, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty fun thing. And, you know, we're obviously not going to have that, but the rivalry is still there. You know, you still want to obviously go beat your in-state rival.
All of our guys, especially the new guys coming in too, with Trey, Anthony, Christian, all of them, they don't know what it's like to lose to them, so they don't want to continue that tradition at all, and the only way to do that is beat them. They've had our numbers the past few years, but we got to change the culture and change history.
The full recap of the game for you coming up tonight on the news at 11. We'll see you then. Time for another break. The news at 6 continues next.
Up next here is World News Tonight with David Muir. We're back with you at 7 o'clock.